Let's get started with our first big news. Dricus Du Plessis has been urged to make a major career move, and this has sparked a heated debate across the MMA community. During a recent episode of the Jackson podcast, MMA legend Rampage Jackson made some very bold comments about DDP's future, comments that immediately set the MMA world on fire. According to Rampage, the fight between DDP and Khamzat was so completely one-sided that Dricus should absolutely forget about ever seeking a rematch. Rampage explained that what happened in that fight wasn't just a normal loss, it was pure domination. He said DDP should not even use the words rematch or revenge in the same sentence ever again. In his view, going after Khamzat again is not just a bad idea, it's a career-ending trap. He warned that chasing Khamzat would leave DDP stuck in a cycle of trying to avenge something that may never be possible. Rampage didn't hold back. He said the loss was too brutal, and it was a type of fight that leaves lasting damage not just physically, but mentally. Rampage went on to suggest that DDP's best option might be to switch weight classes altogether. He argued that if DDP really wants to move forward, he might need to consider starting fresh in a new division. But even that idea isn't simple. One of the hosts pushed back, pointing out that DDP is probably too big to drop down to welterweight. Making such a drastic weight cut could be unhealthy, and DDP might not even be able to perform at his best. On the other hand, staying at middleweight leaves him in a tough spot. He could end up being undersized against the biggest fighters in the division, while also knowing that the champion, Khamzat, has already dominated him. This leaves DDP in a strange and dangerous position. He's stuck between two doors, one that might not even open for him physically, and another that could keep him blocked from ever holding the belt again. Rampage, however, doubled down on his take. He insisted that out of respect for himself and for his career, DDP should seriously consider the change. After all, when a fight is that one-sided, chasing it again doesn't show determination. It risks looking desperate. In Rampage's eyes, fighting Khamzat again could destroy DDP's momentum, his confidence, and maybe even his long-term legacy. So now the big question remains, do you agree with Rampage? Do you think DDP should actually switch divisions to avoid another one-sided clash with Khamzat? Or do you think he should stay at middleweight, regroup, and prove to the world that he can come back stronger than before? The MMA community is completely split on this issue. Some fans say Rampage is absolutely right that DDP should avoid another beating at all costs. Others argue that true champions don't run. They adapt, evolve, and eventually come back for revenge. The comments online are buzzing, and this debate shows no signs of slowing down. Before moving to the next news, we have one quick request for you. We're constantly working on improving our content to earn your love and support. That's why we truly appreciate it if you could take just a moment to leave a like on this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell icon so you never miss an update. Moving on to another major story, concerns are beginning to rise over Alex Pereira's motivation ahead of his upcoming clash with Magomed Ankalaev. This fight is set to take place in November, and it's already being billed as one of the most anticipated matchups of the year. Pereira has quickly become one of the biggest stars in the sport, known for his devastating knockout power and his ability to deliver in high-pressure situations. But now, some experts believe Alex might not be as hungry as he once was, and that could be a dangerous factor against a calculated, dangerous opponent like Ankalaev. During a recent interview, Zhang Mingyang gave his honest assessment of the situation. He argued that Pereira no longer fights with the same fire that carried him to championship gold, and the reason in his view comes down to wealth. Zhang explained that when fighters climb to the top and achieve financial stability, something inside them changes. The hunger, the desperation, the raw drive to succeed, those things begin to fade. He said, "I think Ankalaev can defend his title because Alex Pereira is not as motivated as before. If we could get the old Pereira back, the one who was driven, sharp, and hungry, then yes, I would still say Pereira is the better striker. But if he shows up the way he did in his last fight, Ankalaev has a very real chance of winning. He's simply too rich now." When you are young, poor, and hungry, you fight with purpose. Once you become wealthy, that edge disappears. And I think that's exactly what we're seeing with Alex Pereira right now. These comments have sparked major debate online. Fans are questioning whether Pereira has truly lost his killer instinct or if this is simply another case of mind games being played in the build-up to a massive fight. Motivation is one of the most underrated weapons in combat sports, and history has shown countless examples of fighters who reached the top only to slowly decline once the burning desire to win began to fade. Yet, on the other hand, Alex Pereira has proven over and over that when the lights are the brightest, he can deliver. The real question is, will he come back with that old fire and silence the doubters, or will Uncalla capitalize on what some believe is a decline in motivation and seize the biggest win of his career? Next up, MMA legend Khabib Nurmagomedov has found himself at the center of a massive controversy, one that has the entire MMA world talking during his student's recent fight. Khabib stormed into the cage and directly confronted referee Jason Herzog in a way that nobody expected. Footage of the incident spread like wildfire across social media, sparking intense debate among fans, fighters, and analysts alike. It all began at the end of a heated round. Khabib's fighter walked back to his corner visibly frustrated, signaling to his coaches that he had taken several illegal shots to the back of the head. It was clear from his body language that he was angry, and the referee hadn't done enough to protect him. That's when Khabib, who is almost always known for his calm and composed demeanor, lost his cool. He immediately stepped into the cage, walked straight toward Jason Herzog, and got right up in his face. In a shocking moment, Khabib even grabbed the back of Herzog's head while demanding an explanation for why the illegal strikes hadn't been addressed. This was a side of Khabib the MMA world hadn't seen in years. Ever since the infamous post-fight brawl at UFC 2029 following his win over Conor McGregor, Khabib has built a reputation for being disciplined, reserved, and in control. He retired undefeated, transitioned smoothly into a coaching role, and became an ambassador for the sport, often praised for his professionalism. That's why this incident stood out so strongly. It was the opposite of the image Khabib has carefully maintained since leaving active competition. The MMA community has been deeply divided in its reaction. Some fans applauded Khabib, saying he was simply defending his fighter in a moment where poor officiating could have led to serious damage. They argued that his passion and loyalty to his students were admirable, and that any great coach would step in if he believed his fighter was in danger. But others were far more critical. They pointed out that Khabib crossed a very clear line by physically confronting the referee. MMA, like all combat sports, has rules and boundaries that need to be respected, and many felt that Khabib's actions set a dangerous precedent. If every coach were to storm the cage and put hands on referees when they disagreed with a call, the sport would descend into chaos. The backlash has been particularly strong in Russia, where Khabib is a national hero. Local MMA communities are buzzing, with some defending him and others saying this was a rare lapse of judgment that could tarnish his legacy. The fact that Khabib has not released an official statement only fuels the speculation further. Was this just an emotional outburst, a moment where his protective instincts took over? Or was it something deeper, a sign that even the most disciplined fighters can snap under the right circumstances? For now, the MMA world is waiting for answers. One thing is certain, whether you view Khabib's actions as a justified reaction to protect his fighter or as a serious overstep of boundaries, this incident has once again reminded everyone that emotions run high in this sport, and when legends like Khabib are involved, every action is magnified 1,000 times over. Moving on, Khamzat Chimaev has once again found himself in the spotlight after reportedly confronting Dricus Du Plessis' coach, Morna Visser, face-to-face. This entire situation traces back to UFC 319, where Khamzat delivered one of the most dominant performances of his career. Leading up to the fight, Visser had made headlines for downplaying Khamzat's abilities. He dismissed Chimaev's skill set, claiming there was nothing particularly special about him, and confidently predicted that Du Plessis would walk away with the win. But when the cage door closed, the story couldn't have been more different. Khamzat mauled Dricus from start to finish, leaving no room for doubt about who was the superior fighter. It was widely regarded as one of the most one-sided main events in recent memory. Yet, even after such a decisive loss, Visser refused to acknowledge Khamzat's dominance. Instead of showing humility or crediting the victor, he doubled down on his stance, insisting that Du Plessis would destroy Chimaev in a rematch, and further claiming that Dricus should only fight the champion again, not waste his time against other contenders. These remarks didn't sit well with fans or the wider MMA community. Many took to social media to blast Visser, labeling him delusional. Fans pointed out that not only had Du Plessis been outclassed in every department, but Visser's corner work during the fight also offered little to no useful guidance. To many observers, it looked like the coach was in denial, refusing to face the reality of what had just happened inside the octagon. Then came the twist. In a recent interview with Adam Zuba, Khamzat revealed that he confronted Visser just minutes after leaving the arena. According to Khamzat, it wasn't a physical altercation, but a face-to-face verbal reminder of who truly runs the division. He explained that he approached Visser directly and made sure to set the record straight, leaving no room for excuses or false narratives. For Khamzat, this moment wasn't just about beating Dricus inside the cage. It was about silencing the voices outside of it as well. By confronting the coach, he showed that the dominance extended beyond the fight itself. It was the final statement, proof that not only had he humbled Du Plessis, but he had also shut down the narrative being pushed by the man in his corner. Now let's talk about Ilia Topuria. His next fight date has finally been leaked, and it's absolutely huge news for the lightweight division. Topuria, who recently claimed the championship in dominant fashion, won't be stepping back inside the octagon until January or February of 2026. This news didn't come from vague rumors or speculation. It came directly from Arman Tsarukyan, who let the cat out of the bag while cornering Khamzat Chimaev at UFC 319 in Chicago. For fans of the division, this revelation creates both excitement and frustration. On one hand, Topuria taking time off means the champion will not be defending the belt for several months, leaving a gap at the very top of the division. On the other hand, it opens up the door for plenty of contenders to step up, make statements, and solidify themselves as the clear #1 challenger by the time Topuria finally makes his return. Naturally, Arman Tsarukyan is one of the first names being mentioned in the mix. Fresh off impressive performances, Arman believes he's not only the most deserving contender, but also the fighter who poses the biggest threat to Topuria's reign. He's been extremely vocal about wanting to fight again this year, and according to him, discussions are already underway with the UFC. He hinted at a return bout in October or November, with Abu Dhabi and Qatar both being strong possibilities for his next fight location. When asked about possible opponents, Arman didn't hold back. He mentioned fighters like Justin Gaethje, Dan Hooker, and even his preferred choice, Paddy Pimblett. Arman made it crystal clear that he doesn't like anyone in the division. He outright said he dislikes every single one of them. To him, this isn't just about getting another fight, it's about proving that he's above all the other lightweights and belongs at the very top alongside the champion. Adding to his confidence is the fact that Arman recently trained alongside Khamzat Chimaev in preparation for UFC 319. He credited those sessions with sharpening his game, increasing his hunger, and giving him an edge he didn't have before. According to Arman, training with Khamzat is like training with a different species of fighter, and that experience has fueled his motivation even more. He even went as far as to take a shot at Dricus Du Plessis, calling him nothing but a punching bag when matched up with Khamzat. While that comment stirred up plenty of debate, it also highlighted just how fired up Arman is heading into the final stretch of 2025. His belief is simple. Nobody in the division is on Khamzat's level, and by extension, nobody can push him to his limits either. With Ilia Topuria sidelined until early 2026, Arman has a golden opportunity to grab the spotlight before the champion returns. If he can secure a gig name fight against someone like Gaethje or Pimblett and deliver another dominant performance, he'll make a very strong case to be the man standing across from Topuria when the belt is finally put on the line again. Finally, let's touch on Belal Muhammad, who is making waves by pushing hard for a fight with Kamaru Usman. During a recent Q&A session, Belal was crystal clear about what he wants, and he didn't hold back when expressing his hunger for the challenge. He said, "Honestly, I'm not even paying attention to anyone else. I want my next fight, my next opponent, and if you see Usman around, tell him I'm looking for him. I'm ready. I've been ready. I'm hungry. I'm healthy. I've been training. I just need one of these guys to stop talking and sign the contract." Belal's words weren't just talk, they came across as the plea of a fighter who feels overlooked and underappreciated despite his long win streak in the welterweight division. He's worked his way through tough opponents, shown consistency, and still hasn't gotten that title shot he believes he's earned. With Leon Edwards holding the belt and the division crowded with big names, Belal sees Usman as the perfect fight to cement his claim. Usman, after all, is a former champion and one of the most dominant welterweights in UFC history. A win over him would silence any remaining doubts about Belal's legitimacy as a top contender. There's also history and narrative attached to this potential matchup. Usman is coming off tough losses and fans are eager to see if he can bounce back or if his best days are behind him. Belal, on the other hand, is at his peak, hungry and determined to prove that he belongs at the very top. Stylistically, the fight makes sense too. Both men are strong wrestlers with relentless pressure, but Belal believes his pace and durability would allow him to outlast Usman in a grueling war. Fans are now debating whether the UFC will finally give Belal what he's been demanding. On one hand, it's a fight that makes sense rankings-wise and creates intrigue with a fresh storyline. On the other, the promotion may want to explore other contenders or push his man into a different direction. Still, Belal's persistence has people talking, and that's often the first step in making big fights happen in the UFC. And there you have it. DDP urged to change weight classes, concerns about Pereira's motivation, Khabib's shocking confrontation with a referee, Khamzat's face-off with DDP's coach, Topuria's fight date leak, and Belal's relentless call-out of Usman.